It was supposed to be just another night in Atlanta, but what unfolded behind the scenes of love and hip-hop has left fans in absolute disbelief. Rashida, known for her strength, loyalty, and constant attempts to hold her marriage together, has finally reached her breaking point. Sources close to the couple claim that Rashida stormed out of their home in the middle of the night, bags packed, tears streaming down her face, after allegedly catching Kirk Frost in yet another compromising situation with a woman who definitely wasn't his wife. And this time, she's not looking back. Word on the street is that the woman Kirk was seen with has ties to the Love and Hip Hop franchise, and the betrayal cuts deeper than ever. Fans are shocked. Friends are divided, and Rashida, she's done keeping secrets to protect Kirk's image. Insiders say it all exploded during a late-night confrontation that ended with Rashida shouting, "You can keep her," before slamming the door behind her. Now, social media is in chaos. The cast is scrambling, and viewers are demanding answers. What really happened that night? Who is the mystery woman? And is this finally the end of Rasheeda and Kirk for good? Stay tuned. The night started off like any other, quiet and uneventful, or so Rashida thought. After a long day filming confessionals for Love and Hip Hop, she came home to a dimly lit house, expecting Kirk to already be asleep. But something didn't sit right. His car wasn't in the driveway, and his phone had been going straight to voicemail all evening. At first, she tried brushing it off, assuming he might have been caught up at the studio or out handling business. But a gut feeling, that old familiar dread she had tried so hard to ignore for years, began creeping back in. She sat on the edge of their bed, scrolling through Instagram, when a DM popped up that changed everything. It was a blurry photo, clearly taken quickly and in secret, but the faces were unmistakable. Kirk Frost, sitting at an upscale lounge on the north side of town, leaned in far too close to a woman who looked nothing like Rashida. The woman's hand was on his leg. His smile looked guilty. The message that came with the photo was short, cold, and clear. "Girl, I hate to be the one to tell you, but he's out here again." Rashida's hands trembled as she stared at the screen. For a moment, everything went still. The walls, the ceiling, her heartbeat, they all faded into a low, hollow echo. She had been here before, countless times. The lies, the apologies, the promises to change, the couple's therapy, the vow renewals. She had stood by Kirk through scandal after scandal, not for lack of self-worth, but because she believed in rebuilding, in family, in redemption. But this was the line. She didn't call him. She didn't text. Instead, she grabbed her car keys, threw on a hoodie, and left. Not to chase him, but to confirm the betrayal with her own eyes. The lounge was only 15 minutes away, but every red light felt like an eternity. Her stomach twisted as she imagined the scene. Part of her hoped it wasn't true. Maybe the photo was old. Maybe it was a misunderstanding. But the truth hit her like a slap the moment she walked through the doors. There he was. Kirk was seated in a private VIP booth, surrounded by a few industry guys, laughing like a man without a care in the world. And right beside him, her, the same woman from the DM. Young, curvy, overdressed. She leaned in, whispering something into Kirk's ear that made him laugh louder than she heard him laugh in months. He didn't notice Rashida at first, but when their eyes locked, the entire room fell silent for her. Time stopped. He stood up startled, reaching out like he could explain. But Rashida had already turned around and walked out. She didn't want a scene. She didn't want cameras. She didn't want a story. She wanted out. Back home, she didn't cry. Not right away. She packed slowly, deliberately, not sure where she was even going. A few clothes, her laptop, her skincare, her son's framed photo from her nightstand. The silence was deafening. And still, Kirk didn't call. An hour later, the front door creaked open. He walked in quietly, as if hoping she hadn't seen him. As if he could just sneak back into the night and pretend none of it had happened. But Rashida was sitting in the living room, bags by her feet, face blank with betrayal. "You really think I'm stupid, huh?" Her voice was calm, but each word felt like a bullet. Kirk hesitated. "It's not what it looked like," she scoffed. "You really gonna say that line again? After all these years? It wasn't like that, rah. We were just—" "Don't call me that," she snapped. "You lost the right to be familiar with me tonight." His shoulders dropped. For once, he didn't have a comeback. No smooth talk, no manipulations, just silence. And in that silence, the weight of everything they'd been through came crashing down. "I stayed after Jasmine," she said, her voice cracking. "I stayed after the side baby. I stayed when everybody told me I was a fool. But you just don't know how to stop, do you? It was business," he muttered. "You were lying to my face in my house," she said, standing up. "I saw her hand on your leg. That business? She was just being friendly." "Don't insult me, Kirk," she snapped. "You're not just embarrassing me anymore. You're destroying me." He walked toward her, reaching out. "Rashida, please, don't leave like this." She looked him dead in the eyes. "I should have left years ago." He didn't expect her to actually go through with it. She had threatened to leave before, but she always stayed. This time was different. She walked out without another word, slamming the door behind her. And just like that, the illusion of their picture-perfect comeback crumbled. As the sun rose over Atlanta, rumors were already swirling. A neighbor claimed they heard shouting around 3 a.m. A friend of the woman Kirk was with posted a cryptic story with the caption, "He finally chose her." Fans noticed Rashida had deleted every recent photo of Kirk from her Instagram. Love and hip-hop producers were alerted that something major had gone down, and within hours they were scrambling to catch up, calling camera crews to start filming emergency content for the next episode. Meanwhile, Rashida checked into a quiet hotel outside the city. She didn't tell anyone where she was, not even her closest friends. She needed time. Time to think. Time to cry. Time to figure out who she was without the weight of constantly forgiving a man who never changed. Inside that hotel room, Rashida finally allowed herself to break. The tears came in waves, years of heartbreak crashing down in one emotional storm. She looked at her reflection in the bathroom mirror, mascara smeared, face puffy, and whispered to herself, "You deserve better." Back at home, Kirk sat alone in their kitchen, scrolling through his phone, watching his world implode in real time. DMs flooded in. "You messed up again. How could you do this to her? Rashida deserves so much better." He wanted to defend himself, to explain, to twist the narrative. But this time, there were no excuses that would save him. And the worst part, his teenage son, Kai, had seen the drama unfolding online before he even heard from either parent. Confused and hurt, Kai messaged Rashida, asking what happened. She didn't answer right away, unsure how to explain yet another betrayal in a language that didn't sound like trauma. That's when the family really began to unravel. The fallout didn't stop at just Kirk and Rashida. It started spreading like wildfire through their kids, their parents, their friends, and of course, the Love and Hip Hop cast. Everyone had an opinion, and everyone was choosing sides. Kai was the first to really feel the weight of it all. Just a teenager, he'd already witnessed too much of his parents' messy history. But this time hit different. He had always held on to hope that things would get better, that the worst was behind them. Seeing his mother pack up and leave again was devastating. When Rashida finally responded to his text, it was with a simple message. "We'll talk soon. I love you." That wasn't enough. He wanted answers, and deep down, he wanted to scream at his father. Kirk, meanwhile, stayed holed up at the house, doing damage control like he always did. But this time, no one was buying it. His mother called, furious. "You're a grown man, Kirk. When will you stop acting like a damn fool?" His sister left him a voice message, saying she was embarrassed to even be related to him. And his old friend Rodney, he didn't hold back either. "You lost the only real one you had, bro. You really out here chasing side pieces when you got a queen at home." The pressure was closing in, and for once, Kirk didn't fight it. He just sat in silence, scrolling through the dozens of posts, screenshots, and tagged videos, dragging his name through the mud. One clip had already gone viral. A fan had caught footage of the moment. Rashida stormed out of the lounge, her face tight with rage, her hands clenched into fists. The caption? Rashida done had enough. Kirk out here, WILDI again. As the video made the rounds, fans erupted. Tweets flooded the timeline. How many times can this woman be betrayed before she snaps? Rashida been too loyal. Let that man go. At this point, Kirk got 9 lives. Meanwhile, Rashida tried to keep herself composed. She didn't want to post anything. No quotes, no selfies, no unhealing posts. Not yet. She needed time. But the silence only made the speculation worse. Was she filing for divorce? Was it really over this time? Was it all a publicity stunt? Even her longtime friend and castmate, Candy Burris, called to check in. Girl, tell me what's going on. Are you okay? Rashida broke down crying. That was the first time she let someone else in. Candy listened quietly, letting her vent about everything, the humiliation, the years of covering for Kirk, the sacrifices she made in silence, the betrayal that never seemed to stop. I just feel stupid, Rashida whispered. Don't you dare, Candy said firmly. You held that man down more than most women ever would. If he lost you, that's on him, not you. The next day, Rashida went to her store to check in with staff. It was supposed to be quick, just a few minutes to grab some paperwork. But as soon as she walked in, customers started whispering. One woman even came up and hugged her. You don't know me, she said, tearing up, but I watched you stay strong for so long. You inspired me to walk away from my own toxic relationship. That moment broke something open in Rashida. Maybe her pain had a purpose. Maybe this wasn't the end, it was a beginning. But back at the house, things were spiraling. Kirk, desperate for damage control, started calling love and hip-hop producers. Y'all need to let me tell my side, he said. Let's sit down and do a scene. They agreed, but not out of sympathy. They smelled ratings. They knew fans were eating this up. The cheating, the walkout, the viral moment. It was the kind of scandal that made entire seasons. Filming resumed within 48 hours. Kirk sat on a plush couch in a rented studio space, looking nervous for the first time in a long time. The producer asked, "You sure you want to do this?" He nodded. "I gotta make it right." But as the cameras rolled, Kirk couldn't bring himself to say the words everyone expected. There was no heartfelt apology, no emotional breakdown, just excuses. Me and Rashida been going through stuff. It ain't new. Sometimes you slip, and he trailed off. The backlash was instant. Clips from the interview leaked online. Fans were disgusted. He didn't even try to apologize, one commenter wrote. This man has no remorse. Another added, I used to root for them. I'm done. And then came the real twist. Rashida broke her silence. In a surprise Instagram Live, she appeared from a hotel balcony, wearing sunglasses and no makeup. Her voice was calm, but her words were cutting. I've been quiet because I needed time. Time to process. Time to breathe. But I see people spinning the narrative, and I need y'all to know, I left because I had to. Because loving someone who doesn't love you right will break you in ways you don't even see until it's too late. The live went viral within minutes. Celebrities reposted it. Blogs wrote think pieces about it. Fans called it the moment Rashida reclaimed her power. And somewhere in Atlanta, Kirk watched it all unfold with a sinking feeling in his chest. He had lost her, and this time she wasn't coming back. As if things couldn't get worse, a mystery woman came forward the next day. She posted cryptic stories, showing blurred photos of Kirk's chain on her nightstand. One post showed a man's silhouette, same build, same tattoos, lying shirtless in her bed. The caption read, he said he was done with her anyway. The internet exploded. Some fans were skeptical, but others believed it instantly. The timeline lit up with memes, side-by-side comparisons, and hashtags like #KirkExposed and #FreeRashida. The drama had officially reached boiling point. Meanwhile, Rashida's mother got involved. Miss Shirlene, known for never holding back, took to social media with her own message. "You hurt my baby one too many times, Kirk. You never deserved her. I kept quiet for years, but now I'm done biting my tongue." That post alone got over 50,000 likes in under 2 hours. And just when it seemed like the chaos couldn't get any more explosive, Kirk showed up at Rashida's hotel. Uninvited, unannounced, standing in the hallway, holding flowers and looking like a man who'd finally realized everything he'd destroyed. He knocked on her door, heart pounding, unsure if she'd even open it. She did, but she didn't smile, didn't hug him, didn't let him in. "I'm not here for another apology," she said, arms crossed. "I just need a few minutes," he pleaded. "Why?" she asked. "So you can say sorry for the same thing again. So you can swear you'll change again." He didn't answer. "I'm not the same woman I was a year ago, Kirk," she said softly. "And you're still the same man." And with that, she shut the door. Behind it, Rashida leaned back against the wall, breathing hard, emotions swirling. Was she sad? Yes. Hurt? Deeply. But also proud. Because for the first time in a long time, she chose herself. Back in the hallway, Kirk stood frozen. The rejection hit him like a freight train. There were no cameras this time. No producers. No edits. Just him. Alone. Watching the woman he once took for granted finally walk away for good. After that door shut, something shifted for both of them. Rashida stood on the other side, breathing deeply. She knew the world was watching. Every move she made was being dissected, judged, reposted. But for once, she didn't care. She wasn't performing for the cameras or pretending to be okay. This wasn't a storyline. It was her life. And this time, she was taking control of it. She sat down on the edge of the bed, the weight of it all settling in. The betrayal, the disrespect, the public humiliation. But strangely, she also felt light, as if something toxic had finally left her system. All the years of second chances, forced forgiveness, fake smiles, it was all over. But for Kirk, the reality was only beginning to sink in. He didn't go home that night. Instead, he drove aimlessly around Atlanta, mind racing. His phone buzzed nonstop. Producers, castmates, fans, bloggers. Everyone wanted a piece of the drama. But the only thing he cared about now was gone, and he had no idea how to fix it. The next morning, Rashida didn't even check social media. Her manager had been calling non-stop about her press appearances and brand obligations, but she asked for a few more days. "I just need some space," she said. "Let people say what they want. I'll speak when I'm ready." Still, the world wasn't going to stop spinning. That afternoon, Love and Hip Hop dropped a teaser for the upcoming episode. A slow-motion montage showed Rashida slamming the door in Kirk's face, set to dramatic music. The promo ended with a close-up of her whispering, "I deserve better." Fans went crazy. She finally said it. This is the Rashida we needed years ago. About damn time. But then, out of nowhere, another twist. The mystery woman who had posted the cryptic photos, she went live. And she had receipts. Her name was Amber. Early 30s, Instagram model vibes, heavy lashes, long nails, the whole look. She started her live sipping wine and smirking. "You've been dragging me, calling me a homewrecker. But guess what? I didn't wreck anything." That man was already broken. The comments blew up instantly. Thousands watching, screens recording. And then she dropped the bomb. Screenshots, texts from Kirk, voice notes, hotel receipts, even a blurry video of him walking out of her apartment building late at night, hoodie up, trying not to be seen. "He told me they were separated," she said. "Told me Rashida been cold, distant. Said he was lonely. I didn't force him to come to me. He came willingly." The clip of the live went viral within the hour. Blogs picked it up. YouTubers reacted to it. And fans? They were done with Kirk. Meanwhile, Rashida was at her sister's house, watching everything unfold with wide eyes and a clenched jaw. "This is disgusting," she muttered. "He was still lying even after I left." Her sister, Nisi, looked over. "Girl, this ain't just disrespectful. It's war. Let him have her," Rashida said coldly. "They deserve each other." But she wasn't done yet. That night, she met with producers again. This time, she wanted a solo confessional. She sat down in front of the camera, barefaced, confident, and unapologetic. For years, she began, I kept telling myself it was worth saving. That history and kids and love meant we could fight through anything. But the truth is, sometimes the history is what holds you hostage. She paused, emotions thick in her throat. I didn't leave because of Amber. I left because I finally realized I was loving a man who didn't love me the way I needed to be loved. The producer behind the camera blinked. Do you want to say anything directly to Kirk? She shook her head. No, he's already said enough. And just like that, the tone shifted. The fans saw a new Rashida. Stronger, clearer, unbothered. But Kirk wasn't done playing games. The next day, he called his lawyer. Not to file for divorce, but to protect his assets. Rumors were flying that Rashida was about to clean him out, especially since they owned several businesses together. But Rashida wasn't focused on money. She was focused on peace. Still, Kirk couldn't stop himself from trying one more time. He sent flowers, dozens. He left handwritten notes, apologizing, pleading, promising. And then he showed up again. This time, he caught her outside her boutique. She was with Kai, who had finally come around to see her after days of not responding. As soon as Kirk pulled up, Kai stepped in front of his mother, protective. Nah, you not gonna do this again, he said, eyes blazing. Kirk raised his hands. I just want to talk. You had your chance, Rashida said, stepping around her son, and you blew it. Kirk looked like he hadn't slept in days. His voice cracked. You really done. She stared at him, long and hard. Yes, she said simply. For good. He looked down, defeated. For the first time, the usual arrogance was gone. All that was left was regret. Then I guess I'll go, he whispered. As he walked away, Key turned to his mom. You okay? She nodded. I will be. But even after that moment, the drama didn't slow down. Back on social media, Amber continued to milk the moment. She posted selfies with captions like, unbothered, happy, free. Fans dragged her for being disrespectful, but she didn't care. She even hinted at a possible appearance on Love and Hip Hop, captioning one story with, y'all might be seeing more of me real soon. The producers saw dollar signs. Meanwhile, Kirk's reputation was in the gutter. Endorsement deals started pulling away. Even some of the local businesses he was affiliated with quietly cut ties. The damage wasn't just personal, it was professional. And Rashida, she stayed quiet until she posted a cryptic story of her own. It was just a quote, you can't heal in the same place that broke you. No caption, no face. But the message was clear. The internet lit up. Celebs reposted it. Fans flooded her comments with heart emojis and messages of support. People were rooting for her like never before. But even with the public on her side, Rashida knew this wasn't the end of the road. There were still messy details to sort out, shared properties, legal documents, custody discussions, and of course, the final Love and Hip Hop reunion that everyone was waiting for. That reunion was going to be explosive. Rumors were already swirling. Would Rashida confront Amber face to face? Would Kirk try to win her back on stage? Would Kai speak up? Would Miss Shirlene go off? Producers were already teasing it in interviews, calling it the most emotional, raw, and dramatic reunion in franchise history. And as the date approached, tensions rose. Backstage, Rashida sat in her dressing room, eyes closed, centering herself. Her makeup artist worked in silence, knowing this wasn't the time for small talk. Next door, Kirk paced nervously, rehearsing what he wanted to say. He had one last shot, and he knew it. As the cameras rolled and the cast took their seats, the air was thick with anticipation. The host welcomed everyone, but all eyes were on Rasheeda and Kirk. She sat upright, poised, glowing in a silver dress. He looked tired, but determined. And just as the host was about to ask the first question, Kirk leaned into the mic and said, "Before we start, I need to say something." The room fell silent. "Before we start, I need to say something." Kirk's voice trembled as it echoed through the studio. Every camera turned, Every cast member leaned forward, and Rashida didn't even blink. She just sat there, waiting, stoic, unreadable. The host nodded cautiously. "Go ahead, Kirk." He took a deep breath, steadying himself. "I know I've said a lot already, some in private, some on this show, and some that should have never been said at all. But right now, in front of everybody, I want to be real." Rashida folded her arms. "I messed up." Again, Kirk admitted, "I betrayed your trust, disrespected our marriage, and embarrassed you publicly. I blamed the show, the pressure, even you. But truth is, it was all me. I was weak. I was selfish, and I don't deserve your forgiveness." The audience was silent. Even the crew backstage stopped what they were doing to listen. "But what hurts the most," Kirk continued, "is not losing the marriage. It's knowing I destroyed the one person who had my back when everyone else walked away. You built me up when I had nothing. You helped me become something. And I took that for granted." Rashida didn't speak. Her eyes didn't even flinch. "I know I can't fix this," Kirk said. "And I'm not here to win you back with words. I'm here to take accountability for the pain I caused. Not for ratings, not for a comeback, just because it's the truth." He turned toward her slowly. "I'm sorry, Rashida. I'm sorry for everything." The host cleared his throat, visibly caught off guard by the rawness of the moment. "Do you want to respond, Rashida?" She sat up straighter, her voice calm but firm. "You're right, Kirk. You can't fix it. Not with flowers. Not with speeches. And definitely not on camera." The audience murmured. Some gasped. "I've spent years of my life defending you," she continued. "From fans, from friends, from family, even from myself. I kept hoping you'd change. Kept trying to believe you loved me the way I loved you. But you didn't. You loved having me. You didn't love keeping me." Kirk looked down. "And now," she added, "I finally love myself enough to walk away." The crowd erupted in applause. Even some castmates wiped away tears. The moment was raw, real, or at least it felt that way. The reunion continued, but the focus never strayed far from the two of them. When Amber was brought out midway through the show, the tension exploded again. She walked on stage in a skin-tight red dress, oozing confidence. "I know I'm mad," she said before even sitting down. "But I didn't do anything all favorite husband didn't want to do." Rashida just shook her head, chuckling bitterly. "You really think you're the moment, don't you?" "I don't have to think it, baby," Amber snapped back. "The blog's already said it." That's when Miss Shirlene, Rashida's outspoken mama, jumped in from the side panel. "Girl, hush. You ain't nothing but a stunt double in a cheap wig." The audience exploded with laughter. Even Rashida couldn't help but smirk. "You ain't take nobody's man," Shirlene added. "He left himself." Amber rolled her eyes but didn't fire back. The damage was already done. Her 15 minutes were ticking down fast. As the reunion wrapped, the host tried to bring some closure. "So what's next, Rashida? Where do you go from here?" She took a deep breath. "Forward. I'm putting myself first. My peace, my kids, my healing, and maybe one day love again, but the kind that doesn't hurt." Thunderous applause. She stood and waved, walking off stage like a queen reclaiming her throne. Backstage, Kirk sat alone. Everyone else was celebrating, taking selfies, posting behind-the-scenes footage. But he sat on a folding chair, elbows on knees, staring at the floor. One of the producers came over. "You good man." Kirk sighed. "I don't know who I am without her." The producer didn't know what to say. There was nothing to say. Meanwhile, Rashida went live from her dressing room. She didn't say much, just thanked her fans for their support and reminded them to love themselves enough to leave situations that no longer serve them. "I'm not broken," she said. "I'm free." The next morning, headlines exploded. Rashida ends marriage to Kirk in epic reunion showdown. Amber confronted. Miss Shirlene steals the show. Kirk's apology too late. Fans say it's over. Clips of the reunion went viral. Reactions poured in from celebrities and influencers alike. Even Cardi B commented under a clip, writing, "She ate that." Period. Fans celebrated Rashida like never before. Her fashion brand sold out overnight. Her music streams spiked. She landed a new podcast deal within days, centered on healing, self-worth, and real talk for women who've been through it all. But even as the world cheered, the reality of separation set in. A few weeks after the reunion aired, Rashida officially filed for divorce. Kirk didn't fight it. The paperwork was clean, quick. No dramatic court battles, just the quiet end of something that had been dying for years. Rashida moved into a new condo uptown. Sleek, modern. Her space, her vibe. Kirk stayed in their old house alone. Kay visited both, but it was clear where his loyalty leaned. Popsky told Kirk one day, "I love you." But Ma's the real one. Don't forget that. Kirk nodded, eyes wet. "I never will." Amber, meanwhile, tried to stay relevant. She posted TikToks, pitched a spin-off, tried to start beef with other cast members online. But the audience had already moved on. She faded out as quickly as she popped in. And Rashida, she thrived. A month later, she posted a picture in a white suit, standing on a balcony with the caption, "When you let go of dead weight, you rise higher." Over 1 million likes. She went on tour with her new podcast, sold out venues. Women across the country showed up to hear her speak, raw, unfiltered, and real. She shared her story not as a victim, but as a survivor. "I don't regret loving him," she said during one stop in Chicago. "I regret staying longer than I should have." Thunderous applause. Back in Atlanta, Kirk finally went off the grid. No more posts, no more interviews, just silence. Rumors swirled that he'd left the industry altogether, focusing on his kids and rebuilding himself quietly. Some said he still loved her. Others said he never truly knew how. But Rashida didn't look back. She had a new book deal, a fragrance line, and more endorsements than ever. But more than that, she had peace. And for the first time in a long time, peace was louder than the drama. She stood tall, not because she hadn't been hurt, but because she chose to heal. And as the season of love and hip-hop came to a close, fans didn't mourn the breakup. They celebrated the breakthrough. Rashida wasn't just walking away from Kirk, she was walking into her power. And the world, it was watching. And just like that, Rashida has officially closed the chapter on a relationship that fans watched unfold for over a decade. From the highs of building a family and a brand together to the devastating lows of betrayal and heartbreak, this journey has been nothing short of a roller coaster. But now, Rashida's not just surviving, she's thriving. She didn't just leave Kirk. She reclaimed her peace, her power, and her voice. Viewers across the world are still reeling from the explosive reunion. Social media hasn't stopped buzzing since the episode aired. Team Rashida is stronger than ever, and many are calling her the true definition of resilience. Kirk's heartfelt apology may have stirred some sympathy, but for most fans, it came too little, too late. And as for Amber, well, let's just say her 15 minutes are officially up. But now we want to hear from you. Do you think Rashida made the right decision by finally leaving Kirk? Was Kirk's apology sincere, or just another attempt to save face on camera? And do you think there's any chance these two could ever reconcile in the future? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We're reading every single one. And if you're here for all the raw, unfiltered drama, the emotional moments, and the shocking twists from your favorite reality stars, make sure you hit that like button and smash that subscribe button right now. Don't forget to turn on post notifications so you never miss an update. We've got more exclusive stories coming your way, and trust us, you do not want to miss what's next. Until then, stay tuned, stay messy, and stay real, because when it comes to love and hip-hop, the drama never sleeps.